Frank Dello Stritto, talking about movies.
Welcome back, Frank.
Hi, it's good to be back, Joe. How you been?
Good. I just talked to Jonathan Paley by phone. He phoned in. He was in the Paley Brothers. They opened for Sean Cassidy, David Cassidy's younger brother.
Mm-hmm.
They did a tour with them back in the 70s. So I've known the Paley Brothers for decades, so it was great having him call in.
Joe, you've known everybody for decades.
It's just, we were reminiscing about the old scene. It was a lot of fun. But how did you do? Did you go overseas?
Let's see, my wife and I went to Spain and Morocco.
Spain and Morocco. Did you enjoy it?
We did. My only advice is don't drive in Madrid. It's worse than New York, and it must be worse than Boston.
That bad, huh? And
Boston's one of the more unpleasant places I've ever driven in my life.
Me too.
Madrid gives it a run for its money.
Me too. I've driven in Boston and New York, and they're both tough.
Yeah, well, the thing I don't mind about New York is that it's so crowded, the traffic never goes very fast, so you can't kill anybody. But in Boston, it's a madhouse.
Well, I'm on this long and winding road that comes to this TV station, okay?
Yeah.
And some SUV on this long and winding road where you just got to go slow. And I don't go that, I'm in the speed limit, and the guy's up, or gal is up against my bumper with these big headlights, and I'm going to do a show. What's the point?
Yeah.
Just back off.
The first time I drove in Boston was like, over 20 years ago, and I got back and I said, up there, the bigger the car has the right of way.
That's it.
Doesn't matter what the law is, or what the.
And I like going the speed limit. I just like, I like to be mellow and be ready for my show and be in a good frame of mind. And they're all, they're not all. There's some good drivers out there. There's some maniacs, and it's just It's like the Rebel stuff set.
Rebel set. So that's
the Rough Rebels.
The Rebel set is the movie you're showing tomorrow.
And sorry for driving you crazy with the wrong title.
It is hard to find out the movie when you got the title wrong, but we made it. Okay, tomorrow night you got to talk about two movies tonight, right?
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, and we've got 7.5 minutes to do so.
Okay, so the Rebel set, 1959. It's a heist movie. And it starts off in the beatnik world, and it quickly gets out of that, but it's got this jazzy score. And, Joe, movies like this are one of the reasons I love doing this show, because I never would have heard of this movie and certainly never would have watched it, except I had to watch it for you.
Thank you, Anthony.
And it is a delight.
Thank you, Anthony Gamari.
Yes, thank you, Anthony. It's a wonderful film. I mean, it's cheaply made, so you have to, kind of go with that flow, but it's well written. It's certainly well acted. They picked up a lot of... if you watch the movie, you'll see a lot of familiar faces that you'll have trouble putting a name to. But you say, I've seen that guy before, because even some of the very small parts are played by familiar faces. I could name some names, but they wouldn't mean anything to most people. But you'll say, gee, I've seen that face before. The face you're most likely to recognize is the criminal mastermind behind the plot, which is played by the Edward Platt, who is a name that may not mean many things to many people, but he played Chief in the old Get Smart series.
Oh, whoa.
And he's quite out of character here as a criminal mastermind. He's quite good. And I can't praise this movie enough. And I really admire it when people go ahead with no budget and don't let that stop them. And the reason it's so good is its director is a man named Gene Fowler. Won't mean much to most people, but he was an A-list editor in Hollywood for many years. He directed a handful of films, but he was mainly an editor. And his photographer again, won't mean anything to anybody. His name Karl Struss, but he was an Academy Award-winning cinematographer who's in the 1950s. He was on the downside of his career. But the two of these guys together, they must have been the source behind the inventiveness of the filming and a lot of these lower budget movies, you kind of have to strain yourself with the plot, and that really doesn't happen here. I can't say enough good about this movie. Your viewers are in for a real surprise if they give it a chance, because it is low budget. It's easy to dismiss it. I was looking up the comments on it online, and they quite frankly don't do the movie justice. It's much, much better than I was anticipating, and I said, hooray, Anthony.
Very cool.
That's the movie. Yeah, Anthony has found an overlooked gem as far as I'm concerned. I could watch this movie 20 times more and still like it.
Excellent, and that's going to be played tomorrow night at 9 o'clock on December 6th.
Yes.
Now, next, the 13th, which we won't be here, we won't be on the 12th.
Okay.
Because there's a party here. No, there's a board meeting here.
Okay. Which hopefully will become a party. And
the party's the night before. But you're invited. You and your wife are invited to fly to Boston, come to our Christmas party.
Not in the winter. You invite me in the summer, we might make it.
Okay.
One thing happens in Houston, you lose all resistance to cold. It's going to be in the 30s tomorrow, and you people would laugh at the temperature we're going to have here because it's quite pleasant for you, but we're going to die in it because you lose all resistance to cold down here. Okay, the